Good evening, friends. I'm really happy to be here, sharing some of the perspectives of what we have gone through over the last several years on the learning space. There is nothing right about it or wrong about it. It's what we have gone through, a lot of challenges that we have gone through in the learning space. The topic being collaboration, I think I should set the context that out of the 100,000 odd employees that we have, 75,000 employees work for different organizations, the CIO organizations. So there are 300 customers, so there might be about 1,000 of our employees working for BP, and they are part of the CIO organization of British Petroleum. So you have expectations of about 300 CIOs that as a CLO I have to balance, over and above my own CIO, who keeps pushing us, saying that, no, how do you collaborate with us? So the collaboration is part and parcel of the role that we are doing here. And just to set the context, every year at the beginning of the year, we go through a very intensive exercise where me and my reports, we sit together in one room and we get about 30 of the business leaders talk to us on the same day, one after another. So we set up a conversation so that we are able to listen to what the business wants, what each of the CIOs across all the businesses want. So we hear it out, and then we try to really assimilate as to what is coming out of all this that we are hearing as the sounds from across the globe. So every year we do this exercise, we come up with the synthesis of that. This is what we heard in the last year's conversation, that all the business leaders are expecting 3 key things from us. How do we do productivity enhancement, because there is a lot of cost pressure that's going to be there? How do we grow our business significantly, because that's the demand of the share markets, the business community? And how do we show higher margins? So all 3 very obvious, but I think these are very, very crucial problems. And how does the learning organization get focus on these and not go around talking about learning to the business? So in everything that we do, we ensure that we show the businesses that we are working with them on these 3 key areas. So unless they get convinced, you are not going to get the buy-in from the business. So that's very key to us. And at the same time, I should say that we have an overall framework drawn out. It's slightly complicated, but it's just to say that there is about 30% of the employees who are sitting at the core skills level, what I would say, another 25% who do the programming, then someone who's doing the application and assessment, then some people solutioning, some people doing the business related. So there is a architecture of how the organization is layered in Wipro. The learning gets aligned to this. So that's something which is very important for us. The learning organization, of course, has gone through over the several years and has expertise in everything, that starting from classrooms, creating CD-ROMs and everything. We are a 200 strong organization, full-time trainers. And we train about 4,000 employees every day in classrooms. And about 90,000 employees are logged on through the online network with about 7% concurrency. So there's a huge amount of learning that's going on at any point of time. So the knowledge base is there in terms of what we can do in the learning space. But the problem is, how do we align all this to the challenges that the business has, and with the workforce that we are having? As Pratik mentioned, the average age of the company is anywhere between 26 to 28, in that range. So you have a large chunk of millennial population out there, the Gen X and the traditionalist. And the key thing that we concluded at the end of this year's meeting was that we will focus on productivity with the millennials, we'll focus on growth with the Gen X, and on margin movement through the traditionalists who are at the top level. So it was very, very critical to draw out that plan, because once you are able to narrow down on a theme aligned to a population, then all the other elements can be focused around that. So that was very important. The moment we did that, and we know that these are the parameters which influence those people, so we started investing on the right things, saying that, okay, technology enablement, if you look at the millennial population, is going to be low because they are already adapted to technology. They're very conversant. They're so friendly with the technology. So we don't, from the learning organization, need not invest that much on technology with the millennial population. Compared to that, with the traditionalists, we had to invest a lot more on technology to make learning simpler for them. So that is the key thing, that how do we make learning simpler for the margin movers, and therefore invest high on technology with them, whereas on the millennial who's already very conversant with technology, we don't have to invest that much on that. So that was the key thing that we figured out. So the overall guiding principles we drew out, saying that we need to have state-of-the-art learning infrastructure at the core, supported by, for the millennials, learning that is integrated with the HR processes. Very key, because they really want career growth. They want challenges in their workplace. They want technical skills to be developed, as was told by several speakers. So we said that learning has to get integrated with HR processes for the productivity enhancers. Compared to that, the growth enablers, they were looking at very contextual content and how do you get a lot of support over that. And for the margin movers, we had to invest heavily on tools which will make the experience of learning much easier for them, because they are not conventionally used to adapt a lot of training. They are not tech savvy, and therefore, to bring in the cultural change in the organization, we said that we want to invest more on technology there. So that was the overall framework that we aligned with. And this is the central piece, what you saw, which is the state-of-the-art learning infrastructure. What we have put in place is a collation of all the best-in-class tools, which we call as the Integrated Talent Management System. ITMS is what we call it as, which has the learning management system, the asynchronous learning, the assessment piece, the performance management piece. All of that is there, and you will see that we have an integration of almost every technology that is available. On the second piece, which is the productivity enhancers, as I mentioned to you, that we wanted to integrate it with the HR processes. So the skills are very important. So the competency framework was drawn out. For the first 6 years of an individual, every year, what assessment he has to take so that he qualifies to the next year was drawn out. Today we have about 950 odd assessments across different technologies. And every assessment is a challenge for the individual to go through. So if he does not go through, then automatically support learning pops up on the screen. So that's how it works. So the ITMS sits at the center of this. So as part of the performance management system, if a person gets a rating of particular level, the learning component automatically pops up on the screen. So all these are tightly integrated with the HR process. The learning is completely integrated with the HR process. So even if a person has to apply for a job inside, which is the internal posting mechanism, if they have a particular score in our assessment, in the learning assessments, the interview is waived off. So to that extent, every process within the organization is integrated with the learning process. To support that, we provided a lot of MIS around all the learning initiatives. Any learning initiative which is there, in the ITMS page, you get the MIS at the click of a button. So if you take one of those UCF assessments which is there, which is the assessments framework, if anyone clicks on that, they'll get a MIS which is like this, which you can drill down to the last employee level. So any manager can know what assessment scores an individual has taken, in which test, what skill does he have, how do you really handle that individual. So the entire millennial population, which really looks for challenges, skill development, which is looking for career growth, the learning mechanism is integrated into that. So that's what we had put as the first strategy. On the second one, which is the growth enablers, which is for the Gen X population, we understood like what will create growth in the organization. And we figured out that these are the parameters which are really required. We evaluated various options, and then we narrowed down on the Harvard Business School, the portal which is being offered as a collaborative learning platform. So the Gen X population, we have provided them this, which also was a very cultural challenge, because people thought that they will never adapt to an online learning environment. And then we found out that every cohort that we launched, it was running full. And the participation was almost like 90%. So it is not really true that a Gen X is not very savvy with the technology. They are quite savvy. But if the content is contextual and if you get enough support, which is what the key things that we lined up, then they will participate. So they found value in the whole thing. So it has a targeted content. You have the experts who came in and spoke about what is really required. So you had the content was the king in this particular space. That was very, very important. So we had a lot of moderated discussions. We have a lot of virtual learning events. All of that worked well in this particular area. And all of that happened through the integrated talent management system, which this is a sample of the landing page. So it's on the employee portal. All employees have access to that. So the moment they get into My Learning Plan, so they'll be taken into the Harvard Business School's portal. And this is for the margin movers, which is the toughest of the challenges that we had, which is the senior management in the organization, where key decisions had to be taken. What we found was that the time that they want to learn, spend on learning, is very minimal. So it is not that they want to spend a lot of time on learning like the earlier other two people. The Harvard Business School program is an integrated 5-month-long program. So it's part-time, but it's 5-month long. But these are people who we figured out want to learn for 7 minutes max. In 7 minutes, they want to get information or any particular input which will help them make a decision. So we said that we should align, we coined the term rapid learning for them, and we launched it. Today, if you go to Outlook of all the senior managers, on their mailbox, at the left-hand side, there is a button which says rapid learning. So at the click of the button, they get a pop-up where they can post any question. And there are people who will immediately support them, saying that this is what you wanted and this is what we are giving you. So if someone is telling that I'm getting into a strategy session, can the learning organization help me with something? So he can just put rapid learning and post saying strategy session. We'll give a short video on Michael Porter, and the person goes through that for about 7 to 10 minutes, gets into his session. He's that much more informed about taking decisions in that particular strategy session. So that's how we figured out that getting the margin movers, getting the senior people involved in learning is very, very tough, but it requires a lot of investment from our side on technology, on collaboration, and all of that. So we have today, for example, the mobile M-Tube is what we call, like YouTube, a mobile tube. So every 15 days, we pop up a 7-minute video into them, which is from a world-class expert. So they can see it at their own leisure. After 15 days, it gets refreshed. A new video gets into them. So all those people are being pushed through very, very short but very, very impactful learning capsules, which is what we found is very important for them. And as I mentioned to you that the investments on this particular area have been high. Like, for example, if I have to tell you that we are rolling out a semantics engine, which is going to help the senior managers take decisions which are business intelligence oriented. So it can go through tons of information which we have subscribed to, and then give them that right capsule of information which will help them make the decision, for which we had to invest on a semantic engine, which is an artificial intelligence engine. So like that, the investments for making margin movers, adapt to learning, making use of the learning, and then using it in the business so that they can see that the learning organization helps me in making margin movement. I think that's a big step that we had to take through. So across the 3 generations, productivity enhancement, or whether it's growth enablement, or whether it is on margin movement, aligning the right type of learning, investing in that technology, and then making it happen has been the biggest challenges that we had. So that's what I would like to summarize on. So we have a dedicated learning support center which handles about 7,000 learning-related calls every quarter.